What is up? Thank God iPod is live. I'm your host, Chaz Pippett. I'm the founder of Baseball Rebellion and Softball Rebellion, and I talk about baseball, softball, anything related to training those sports, from current events, hitting, pitching, game approach, throwing, arm care, weight training, you name it, I cover it. And tonight, thank God iPod has an awesome show for you. We're going to be joined by Devin Barnes of Barnes Baseball Academy in Louisiana. Recently, he went viral over a clip that I had something to say about, where he's coaching and he gets into a little bit of an argument with, you can't really tell if it's a parent, you can't tell if it's another coach. You know, one thing leads to another, and then it kind of cuts off. The Baseball Bros tweeted it, and I'm excited to get his point of view on that little clip and learn a little bit more about Barnes baseball and how him and his brother are getting more African-American kids than ever in Louisiana to play ball. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Major League Baseball lockout. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I'm some kind of insider. Everybody who's watching this knows that I work with some big leaguers. I work with minor leaguers. I've talked to different coaches at different levels of the game in professional baseball. But I'm no insider on the negotiations, right? The reality is this: the owners of the Major League Baseball teams have locked out the players over a disagreement in the collective bargaining agreement. Okay. Essentially, these super rich owners, they're willing to miss games and to make sure that they keep control over their product, which is Major League Baseball. They might be fighting over money, service time, arbitration, the international draft. But the scariest part about all this, it's not that they're missing games. It's not that the players are mad and there's different information going on about whose fault it is. The scariest part of this whole thing is that I haven't heard a single one of my players ask me about it, talk about it, or even notice that there's a lockout going on in my facility. And that goes from little kids, 6, 7 years old, up to high school kids. They don't care. They don't care that there's no Major League Baseball. They don't care that spring training isn't happening. They don't even know. They don't even miss it. It's not even on their radar. They're worried about their own games. They're worried about their own practices. And this is very odd because, I mean, as a high school basketball player, I knew everything about college basketball, everything about the NBA. Like, I knew all the players. I knew the records. I knew what was going on. I cared about it, genuinely cared about it. But in baseball, I feel like they have really dropped the ball and overestimated how much these young fans actually care about it. Now, I'll say this: travel ball, USSSA, AAU, that kind of stuff, it is growing. Little League may be struggling, but it is growing. And the players love to play, but they don't watch the game. Often I'll refer to Ken Griffey Jr. and the player looks at me with a blank stare, like, who's that? I mean, I'll ask kids who their favorite baseball player is when they're 9 or 10, and they say, I don't really watch baseball. And these are kids who are playing travel ball, whose parents are spending the money on lessons and driving them all over the state and all over the East Coast to try to get to these different travel ball tournaments. And they don't even watch the game. They don't have a role model. They don't have a favorite team. They don't have a favorite player. That's what Major League Baseball should be scared about. And the longer they delay stuff like this and the worse they continue to market, the more kids they're going to lose to more exciting sports like football, basketball, UFC, all kinds of different things and different opportunities. Shoot, these kids are more into Mr. Beast on YouTube than they are Major League Baseball. And I can assure you, if one of their favorite YouTube creators gets in trouble, they know a whole lot more about that than the Major League Baseball lockout. I just really think this is a huge problem. And I'm worried about it from a lot of levels. One, obviously, I train players, right? So if the youth player isn't watching the game, they're not learning the game. They're not learning etiquette. They're not learning how to play the game. They're not learning the values that baseball can be so valuable in teaching. They're just playing to play. And every single day on Twitter, we see that whether it's the kid who waved and threw a pitch and everybody crucified him, or it's somebody arguing about bunts, or somebody arguing about a bat flip from a UCLA commit. All these little clips, there's no context. There's no context, and all it is did you get a bunch of likes? Did you get a bunch of retweets? But who's not getting retweets and likes are actual major league teams and major league games, because these kids don't watch, they don't care, and it scares me for the future of Major League Baseball. The opening rant tonight was brought to you by HitTrax. I have 5 HitTrax machines in my facility. I absolutely love the product. Without knowing where a player starts, how can you actually know if you're making them better or where you need to go? Players have different batted ball profiles, whether they're big, strong power hitters or whether they're little guys who have to move the ball around. I think it's important with HitTrax that you measure these tendencies so you can help sculpt a hitter's role for the team that they're on. You got an 8 hitter who needs to move runners, who needs to get a bunt down occasionally, who needs to be able to go backside. Guess what? You better be practicing that on HitTrax, and his HitTrax profile better see and show that against velocity and movement as you continue to progress. You don't need to be teaching that young kid who's maybe an 8 hitter, 9 hitter, how to hit the ball up in the air, because that's only going to hurt that player. And I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand about HitTrax is it can be used for power generation, for monitoring. It can be used for situational hitting. There's so many valuable things that we use it for, and I absolutely love it. Head to hittrax.com if you want to learn more about it. HitTrax is absolutely the best batted ball tracker inside, and it is the only thing that I trust here at Baseball Rebellion to make sure that we prove improvement and make our hitters better every single day. Now, Devin is about to join us. Devin Barnes of Barnes Baseball Academy in Louisiana. He's here now. Devin, thanks so much for being here, man.
Oh, yeah, man. I appreciate you having me.
Well, let me start it off, because here's the reality of the situation. I saw Baseball Bros tweet a clip of you coaching third base. And if I were better at this, I'd actually play the clip now. I'm not as good as I'm going to be, but I'm going to learn, okay?
Right.
And essentially the clip was you're coaching third base. A play happens. You send a kid home. He scores. He ties the game. You're excited, and you're coaching them up. You're cheering for your team. You're not saying anything about else. You're cheering for your team. And then somebody starts chirping at you. So you eventually say, hey, man, I'm coaching. You stay over there. And then somebody tells you to shut the hell up. Now, was that a coach or a player who or a parent who said that to you?
That was a coach. That was a coach who said that.
Okay, so an opposing coach tells you to shut the hell up. And you respond and say, no, you shut the hell up, or you shut up. I don't know exactly what you said, but something like that, okay?
Right.
And I saw that tweet, and I jumped to a conclusion. I thought that you were in the wrong because I couldn't hear who said what. I couldn't see who said what. And all I could see was you appearing to be aggressive. The reality of the situation is this. You were hyped for your players. There was a whole lot of context that wasn't given there. And I think everything you did was just fine because you were reacting to somebody coming at you. And I think it's important for kids to see that they should stand up in those types of situations, that you shouldn't just speak to anybody however the heck you want to. And I was wrong. I actually think I tweeted something like, this isn't coaching, this is clownery. And I want to apologize to you live in front of everybody and to say I was wrong because you sent me the clip of the series, which is something you're creating. That's why you were mic'd up. That's why you were being filmed, to show the journey of your 10U team and how you're coaching those players up. And after I watched that, I was thinking to myself, man, the Baseball Bros did you wrong, because yeah, they got a bunch of clicks and your phone probably vibrated out of your pocket with all the mentions you probably got.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I just don't think they did you fairly. So tell us a little bit about the context of that game. And for anybody who wants to see it, I'm going to be posting a link to his series under this live on every single platform that I have, because without that, you don't get a fair understanding of Devin, his brother, Barnes Baseball, and how you're coaching those kids up.
Right.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about the game, the context, Barnes Baseball, how you're bringing more African-American kids to the game in Louisiana. Just go. I can't wait to learn.
All right, man. So first of all, man, I am Devin. I'm a 28-year-old, young man. And just to start off with the game, man, so we can go ahead and get that out there, man. So it was a really good game. We were playing Mississippi Sixers. They out of Mississippi, Rankin County, and we had never played them before, and we had heard, good things about them. And it was a good game. It was just a really good baseball game. Like we score, they score. We scored two, they scored two. So I mean, it was a good game and it was exciting. And it got down to a point. What happened in that play was because everybody's asking me, like, what happened? What happened? So what happened was it was only one out, and my guy struck out. So that made it two outs, and the catcher rolled the ball to the center of the field and made it look like it was three outs. So we go home whenever he rolled the ball because it's only at two outs. So I'm excited. I'm just happy that my guys are trying to compete. Like willing to not give up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited, and in return, that makes my guys excited. You know what I'm saying? And and I'm just yelling and I'm going, and one of the coaches, he's like, "Coach, you don't have to yell like that." And I was like, you don't talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Like don't talk to me. And if they watch the clip, I mean, it's word for word. I was like, you don't talk to me. Then when I tell him that's when he proceeds to tell me, shut the hell up. And I'm like, no, you shut the hell up. But the reality of this whole thing is, man, this is what we have to deal with a lot of times when we go places and play. I don't have an all black team. I have white kids on my team. I only have 3 black kids, if you want to, 4 black kids, I'm sorry, if you want to be, honest. So, the majority of my team is white kids, but I mean, that don't matter. The race don't matter. It's just the fact, like, I don't coach a traditional way. I'm that coach when my guys hit a double, I want them to beat their chest. You know what I'm saying? When my guys strike somebody out, I want you to walk around the mound like you own the mound. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want those robots. I'm not here to create robots.
To be honest, that's probably why most kids don't play baseball as long as they could, right? You get beat down and yelled at for showing any type of emotion. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw the real clip, the context of the series, not just the little clip the Baseball Bros put out, I was like, man, this dude and I are pretty much the same deal. Because Baseball Rebellion is not baseball conforming. Like, we're trying to do stuff differently. I want you to enjoy the game. If you hit a double, now I'm not saying you need to be screaming at the pitcher, but if you hit a double and you want to, do something back to your teammates, of course you should. You see guys on the football field celebrate. You see guys on the basketball court yell and scream when they get a dunk. Why is that any different for baseball? Why do you think baseball is so behind on that? Like, what makes baseball etiquette so boring and lame?
And bro, that is a great question. And I've always wondered the same thing, but I think it's just a matter of who you play baseball with. Because I had a coach in high school and he believed in one way. He didn't believe in being loud. He didn't believe in, what I'm saying? He just believed in just being a dirtbag. But I never wanted to be that coach. I wanted to get more of my kids that look like me out there to play baseball. And if you ask 90% of black kids, hey, man, why don't you play baseball? They say, hey, it's boring. Like, I don't want to play because it's boring. Or they say, I don't want to play because I don't want to get hit. Those are like the 2 biggest things that I get from kids. And I'm always like, well, have you ever tried? They're like, no. I'm like, well, maybe you should try, because I have a couple friends that are in the MLB and they tell me all the time, man, like, they're trying to draft more black players. Like, they want to have more black players, like they want more black people in the MLB, as of, I think 2020 or 2021, I don't remember which year, but the MLB was only 2% black, so they're trying to get more black kids to play. And I think that's where, my brother and I are coming in to play, because I mean, what were you finna say?
Well, I say you can't draft kids that don't play. You
Exactly.
can't draft what doesn't exist. I mean, literally, I was in my building today, and I'm in Durham, North Carolina. So I don't know if you know anything about North Carolina, but Durham is, I would say, a predominantly African American city, in my opinion. Now, it's not like New York or Baltimore or anything like that, but it's right. My son's public school. I mean, he looks like me, and he's by far the minority at the school, and so. that's kind of the area that Durham is in. And, where was one black kid in my building today? One
Mhm,
out of all the kids that came.
mhm.
And I don't think that's a function of, they can't afford it or whatever. I think it's just a function of like they don't exist.
Right.
They don't exist. Like I took my son to Little League baseball practice, South Durham Little League, and there was two teams practicing on the same field. I didn't see a single black kid out there. And when I coach my son's flag football team, right?
Mhm.
We only have 8 players. We got 3 black kids.
Yeah.
So it's like totally different. And every team we play against, except one, has African American kids on it. And in the basketball league, it's more. And
Yeah.
so it's not like the kids don't exist, it's that they just choose not to play. In your opinion, other than it being boring, I think the parents really just don't sign their kids up for baseball. Like, what do you think the breakdown is there?
I think that's, I mean, that's it. Like most of their parents probably grew up playing football and basketball. So that's, all they know. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So most parents want their kids to do, you know, pretty much what they did, unless their kid comes out and say, "Hey, I want to play baseball," but
Right.
but they never really, like, they never had a bat. You know what I'm saying? They've never had a glove, so why would they want to play baseball? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Right.
they got a football, they got a basketball. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But but they've never had that glove. They've never had that bat. They've never played catch. So they
Right.
don't. So in their mind, they're like, well, I don't want to play baseball. And then it gets to a point where they're like, at 12 years old, I'm not going to say it's too late, but you're a baseball guy. It's too late.
It's hard.
Like
It's hard. You got to be a monster to
you
pick it
gotta
up late. I mean, you
you
got to
gotta
really be a
be
monster.
athletic. You
Yeah,
gotta be real,
absolutely.
real athletic. And I heard you earlier say, like getting more black kids in. I I've came to realize, and I don't know why this is, but I feel like black baseball players feel comfortable working with black instructors. You know what
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Talk
And
about that.
and, and I say that because, like, everybody that works in my facility, for the most part, I think everybody's pretty much African American. I'm just going to
Sure.
be honest with you. We got a couple, but everybody for the most part is African American, and we get so many African American kids in there, man. It's like unreal, like to the point where, like, people are calling me every day wanting to come in and do lessons. And girls, softball
Mhm.
girls, and baseball kids, like, that I didn't even know exist. You say, like, you never knew. And the thing is, a lot of them, they just want to come in and get better. But I feel like most of them are comfortable with black instructors. And I say that because there's been times I'm like, hey, look, man, why don't you go there? Like, nah, coach, I'll wait on you or your brother to get back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just like working with y'all. Like, y'all make me, feel better, and
And
I think,
feel welcome.
right, right, make me
So
feel like I'm supposed to be here.
so I know you don't know me, right? But
Right.
what can somebody like me do to help more black kids feel safe and feel like it's a learning environment and understand that there are, people that don't necessarily have to look like them that can help them?
Right. So I think there you have to kind of just, like, bring in other black guys. So, like, just say for instance, just say, like, you're at your facility, and I'm gonna just use one of my friends, Anthony Alford, Jonathan Davis. I don't know if you know those guys. Anthony
Sure.
played for the Pirates. Jonathan, he played for the Yankees last year. But just say, like, those two guys. So I bring those two guys into my facility every year, and I have a camp. And
Mm.
in the camp, like, I only charge maybe like $50, but the whole concept of the camp is, I want kids to come in and see other people that look like them, and they can say, well, you know what, I can make it to the pros because, hey, this kid here, he's from Camden, Arkansas, and this kid here, he's from, Petal, Mississippi, but
Sure.
yet they're playing pro baseball. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that, I feel like that gives my kids a push every year, because I try to bring in like 3 or 4 professional guys to that camp. It's a Christmas camp that we have every year, and every year it's gotten bigger and it's gotten bigger, and every year it's like the first year we maybe had like 30 black kids. Last year it was like up to 40 or 50. You know what I'm saying? And I think like that would be something that would draw them in. You know what I'm saying? And once they get in, they're like, okay, well, maybe, Mr. Chaz is not that bad because, he does work with this guy or he does have
Sure.
connections with this guy. You know what I'm saying?
And
But
I'm not,
they,
and I don't want it to seem like we don't work with black kids because that's not the
right.
case. But I will say this: Steve Singleton, he's the one of the softball hitting coaches at Texas now. He was in the Twins organization as a player and as a coach. Player first, then I hired him. He worked for me for a little while. Then he went to the Twins, made it pretty high up as a coach. Then he left them to be at Texas. He's a black guy, right?
Mhm.
So when we had Steve in our building, when Steve left, he had about 20, 22 black kids that he worked with. Okay.
Right.
Now, when Steve left, we weren't expecting him to leave. He had a family situation. He had to go for his son, and no problems, no hard feelings. But it kind of came out of nowhere, right?
Right.
And so I had just had my first son, Bryant, and I took his clients. Now, keep in mind, I didn't play professional baseball, but
Mhm.
I had just trained Steve to the point where he had been interviewing for pro jobs, couldn't get one. Then as soon as he left us after the training he got, he was right into pro ball as a coach. No problem.
Right.
And I tend to think of myself as a pretty good coach,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I've built this business from nothing, and you know exactly how that is. I did 5 years of lessons in a barn before I had my first building with like a bathroom and a microwave and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So I took his clients. I lost all but 2 clients within a month. And that had nothing to do with my coaching ability, I assure you.
No.
So it was something about they didn't trust me or they didn't think I had their best interest in mind, which really bothers me even to this day
Yeah.
because I don't understand. In my mind, I don't understand. So, what do you think, other than bringing in, so you told me to bring in some guys, and we worked with Ronnie Dawson. He was in the big leagues a little bit last year with the Astros, and AJ Bumpus is was in the Reds organization for a good amount of time. I've worked with him since he was 11 years old. I told his mother after his first session, I was like, "Your son is going to be a professional baseball player," and she looked at me like I was crazy. Well, I was right, but it's not that the black guys don't exist in my building. It's that I just wish more of them would give us a shot. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, with my son, I mean, his best sport's football.
Mhm.
Like, he's going to get coached by black guys for sure.
Yeah.
In
For
that sport, for sure.
sure.
And that's great. Like, that's
Right.
good. I want him to have that experience. Black friends, white friends, Latino friends. Like, it doesn't matter to me. How can I be more inclusive? And what advice would you give me on a day-to-day basis to help more black kids, want to experience what we do, whether it's private lessons or even the little like clinics we do or whatever?
Invite them in, like literally, like go to the little league parks and say, hey, look, man, I own this facility. Hey, just come. All you gotta do is come check it out. I'll do first lesson free. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I do a lot of times. I'll be at the the field and I'll see somebody. Hey, look, man, here's my card. Hey, look, y'all come check us out. Y'all come give us a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that allows me to bring in a lot of kids. Like I'll be, even if I'm watching a T-ball game, I might be watching a T-ball game. I'm like, man, this kid here is super athletic,
Right.
and essentially that's how I was able to have 9 teams right now. Like my brother and I, man, we got 9 teams, man. We started with 1. You know what I'm saying? We had a tryout, our first tryout that we ever had, but we had 1 kid show up. You know what I'm saying? Because we were new on the block, nobody
Right.
knew us, but it was just
How was that? How did that feel?
Oh, dude, man, it was a turning point for sure because it was one of the moments, man, where it was like, do we stop here or do we keep going? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. I'm like, dude, we got 1 team already, and we're trying to do 5 of the age groups, and we had 1 kid come. So I'm like, man, and then so basically we took that team, which is, my 10U team, and we started, at 7-8, we just started winning. And as we started winning, more people just wanted to be a part of what we had going, so and that was a good thing for us too, and we also use social media, man. Social media is like our biggest, it's like our what we do the most, that's what we do the most for sure.
So what platforms are you on primarily?
We're on primarily Instagram and Facebook. That's our two primary sources right there. It's Instagram.
What's your Instagram handle?
Instagram would be Barnes Academy, at Barnes Academy, and our Facebook is at Barnes Academy as well.
All right, make sure y'all check that out at Barnes Academy on Facebook and Instagram. Well, listen, I really appreciate some insight from you because I know how hard it is to get clients, to start from outdoor lessons and hoping it doesn't rain, and maybe you've got a cage with a roof but no sides, so you're buying kitty litter to dry up the cage. I know I did that a few times. You've got a facility now, Barnes Baseball Academy. Tell me, like, how big is it? Where is it? How many do you do? Individual lessons, group training? Obviously, you have teams. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So essentially, we opened 2 years ago, man. We opened in a 3,200 square foot building, bro. We had three 30-foot cages. Then we had like a little area, to take ground balls. And now, this past October, we just moved into a 11,000 square foot building. Air and heat and all that good stuff.
That is
You know,
great.
yeah, man. We got 6 cages now, 6 70-foot, 20-foot high cages, some big cages in there. We just got us a hit tracks, so
That's
one of
great.
yeah, man. So I mean, I know how it feels. Days it's raining. We got the garage doors, so we gotta close them. We in there burning up because it's raining outside. We don't want to get rain on the turf. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
man, we've been there, and it was just one of them things. Like I say, bro, we just had to stay consistent. It just keep going on the hot days and on the cold days.
Absolutely. I remember when I was outside in the pole barns, if it was 45 degrees when I got there, I would literally build a fire. So the moms would sit by the fire and bring their kids to me because I had no other way to make money, man. I needed them to come. So I'm out there in 3 sweatsuits and looking like the marshmallow man walking around because I got so many clothes on. But you got to do what you got to do. If you love the game and you love kids and you love helping people, those 5-6 years went by fast, I guess, but they went by slower on those 100-degree days and those 20-degree days. I
Yeah,
assure you.
for sure, for sure.
um, yeah, I would love to see. Do you have a website where people can check out the facility, or is it all Facebook and Instagram?
It's all Facebook and Instagram. The only website we have is just our website that we use for like booking of cages, because we do like private lessons. We got approximately 6 instructors in there right now. I actually just interviewed a softball instructor today, so hopefully get us a 7th one in there.
Good
And
luck.
yeah, man, and then so like we use Upper Hand. I don't know if you've ever heard of Upper Hand before, but
Mm-mm.
it's a great, like, it's made for baseball. It's an app made for baseball, and it's kind of like where they come in and like they can go in and they can book us online,
Oh,
and
that's real cool.
yeah, it's super legit. And I actually found out about it from another guy who owned a baseball academy.
Oh, I'll definitely check that out, man. I appreciate the heads up. Well, listen, what do you with the series, right? So
Okay.
talk about that. You're filming. I mean, are you producing that yourself? Did somebody come to you to produce that? Like, what was the genesis of the series?
So the way the series came about was, we were going to these tournaments, and a lot of these tournaments, like we always end up running into problems, because of the way we are and the way that we coach. We're high energy. Like I explained, I'm high energy at practice. I'm high energy when I'm doing a lesson. I mean, that's just me. And so we started actually doing the series just to kind of show people the things that we go go through being a Black-owned organization, being a Black-owned baseball facility, and also being Black coaches in baseball. So that was the purpose, along with also letting people know about our kids, because I mean we are a nationally ranked team, and we are, one of the better teams in the South, So I mean, I also wanted to let people know about that. So the whole purpose of the series was it is to just kind of give intel on what we do, who we are, who our kids are, So like the next episodes that's coming up, it's gonna walk through the academy, kind of show us doing lessons, kind of show, who we are, show us hanging out with different people, just not baseball, just kind of show like who we are as individuals as well, and the way that it came about was I have a guy who, I bring the tournaments just to kind of, record and do just to kind of like get the kids making different plays and stuff like that. And then it kind of just turned into, hey man, we should just document everything and let's put it on YouTube. Let's really put it out there. Like let's really show people how these tournaments are, the struggles that we really do go through. You know what I'm saying? Like actually give people behind the scenes, and also just to kind of show people how competitive travel ball is, because like you say, a lot of people don't know. Like they've seen the Friday Night Tykes and they've seen all the, basketball shows, but nobody has ever really made a show about youth baseball.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's because around here, every left-handed kid who's no good, dad gets mad he's not playing shortstop, and then he starts his own team. So the competitiveness, it gets diluted around here really fast because, in my opinion, entitled parents kind of thinking their kids are better than they are. And I'm not banging on kids. That's not the kids making that decision. That's mom
Right, right,
gets
right.
mad because dad's mad because his kid ain't playing this position or whatever. And then next thing you know, they got another team.
Yeah.
The elite ultra prime select. Never heard of yous. And
Right.
and that's the thing. Like when you get to a real tournament, a Division I real tournament with real teams like you got going, it's a rude awakening very fast for people that think they know what talent is and don't actually know. I want to ask you one more question about something you just said, though. You said because you think, let me start over. Do you think you have problems at these tournaments, point blank, because you're high energy and loud, or because you're Black?
Both. I honestly think it's both. And I say
If
that
you
to
if you
say
if you weight them, would you give it like a 70-30 one way or the other, or is it 50-50?
I would say it would be probably 70-30, like 70% because I'm Black, 30%, it would be the high energy. And I say that to say
I hate
because
that for you, man. I really
I,
do. That's super
I've
disappointing.
seen coaches that don't look like me who are, high energy or whatever, and it's never a problem.
Sure.
And it's never been a problem. But then the second that I'm high energy and I know the game, you know what I'm saying? Because
Oh
that,
yeah.
that that scares a lot of people too, like just say for instance, like we had a play and I'm like, hey Blue, he's got to disengage from the rubber and become an infielder. He can't throw to an unoccupied bag. He's looking at me like, dang, you know the rules. Like, yeah, like I know the game too, So I think that's why we do face a lot of problems at these tournaments, and like it's like when we come, it's already a warning before the game even started. It's like, hey man, we've heard about you guys.
Well, I hate that for you, man. And I wish that were different. And part of why I wanted to have you on was because I really felt like the baseball bros did you a disservice with what they put out about you, because that feeds the stereotype instead of giving context to how you were essentially defending yourself, in my opinion.
Right.
Now that I know it. And again, I was part of the problem. And I never I never want to be that again, frankly, because I just think that you got done wrong by that clip. But the reality is this: you have a great team. You're helping lots of kids, white, Black, otherwise. You have one kid on your team who literally looks like he is 35 years old, in my opinion. Tyler Early, I think is his name. He's a
Yes.
first baseman, man. What is his height and weight, man? And have you ever seen his birth
Yeah.
certificate?
So, bro, I got his birth certificate. It stayed with me. You know what I'm saying?
It has to.
It stayed with me. But man, Tyler's got to be about 5'5" right now. Probably 120, 130 pounds. Like, bro, he's a big kid.
He's a big boy.
He's
Yes.
a big boy. And this past weekend, man, we went to a Super NIT out in Houston. Man, it had 46 major teams. I think it had 15 or 20 of the top teams in the country in there, and we ended up, coming in first place and everything. But
That's awesome.
that weekend, man, he went insane. He probably went, man, 12 for 15 or something, because he got walked a lot. Like a lot of people didn't pitch to him, but man, he's unreal.
Man, I wouldn't pitch to him.
No.
He's big as you.
Yeah, bro.
You might outweigh him a little bit, but he's every bit as tall as you. From what I can see, on YouTube, from what I can see, I mean, it's funny. He looks like another coach compared to some of those kids if you're not really paying attention.
Right. Nah, you're right. He's big, man. But you gotta think about it, man. His mom's a big woman. She's 6 foot or taller. His uncle's 6'6". His other uncle's 6'4". So I mean, he's got it.
He gets it honest.
Yeah,
He gets it honest. Okay.
Yeah, he got it. It didn't skip him.
Well, that's cool. And now, is he good because he's good, or is he good because he's big?
No, he's good. He's good because he's good. Just because he's big, bro, he works hard. He's at the academy, 4 out of 5 days out of the week. Just, he's a workhorse. He don't play any other sports. So, he really dedicates his time to baseball. Like he's trying to perfect his craft,
Hey, that's what it takes. If you really care about something, it's definitely possible to like find the sport you love and love it, but not get so wrapped up in it that you don't train to become athletic. I think
Right.
that's what a lot of people get wrong about early specialization, right? So if you just play like 150 games, yeah, you're not going to be that athletic, and you probably will be pretty one-dimensional, and you might get hurt from doing it. But if you play a lot of games, but you still make time to like lift weights, do speed and agility, make sure that you're being able to move a lot of different ways and keeping your coordination high in a bunch of different disciplines. I think that that's really smart. And once you figure out what you want to do with your life, my strong advice to anybody listening is if you want to be a pro basketball player, if you want to try to play baseball at Division I level, every time you do something that isn't directly related to those things, you're wasting your time. Right. In my opinion.
No, that's facts.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, I wanted to be a great instructor, right? So first, what I did was I studied a ton of people and how they move, how do great people rotate, whether it's a baseball player, a softball player, a tennis player, an MMA fighter, javelin thrower, it doesn't matter. Rotation is rotation. So you got to make sure that you're finding what you love and zeroing in on it. It might be science, it might be baseball, it might be basketball, it might be something else. Find what you love and be passionate about it. And I think that that's obviously what you've done. How did you know you really wanted to be this youth coach, this private lesson, this mentor, this travel ball, kind of savant? Because you definitely do it different than I've seen it, but you obviously are doing it better than a lot of people give you credit for. How did you know you'd be an excellent coach?
Well, honestly, I really didn't. What happened was I was actually coaching high school. When I graduated college, after I finished playing college ball, I started coaching high school and I was teaching. And I really didn't have a love for actually teaching. I just wanted to coach, So it got to a point to where the teaching was just a little bit too much on me. So I just got to a point where I was like, man, you know what? We're going to, let's start it, man. Let's do it. So, me and my brother, we sat down, we came up with a plan, and, we just kind of executed it, and then from there, the reason why I just kind of figured out it was us, man, is just because like from day one, man, it was just instant. It was just instant. Like we're just getting kids like from day one. Like literally, people don't even know who we are. They don't know what Barnes Academy is, and we have a grand opening, and we got people there, who just want to come and just start working with us. Like, man, we've heard a lot about you guys, so hey, look, man, we want to come give you guys a chance.
Yeah, that's awesome. And getting people in the door the first time, I know, is nerve-wracking, a little scary. You sign that lease, right?
Yes.
You've got to figure out how to pay for it. I recently I have a 13,000 square foot building now. I actually sold it yesterday, my building. So I got to move, and I'm going to rent my next building, even though I bought the one I had. It's weird to say have or had. Now it's today, I guess yesterday was my first day as a tenant in that building. That was kind of weird, but we're moving, right? So now I'm getting ready for a big upfit. So I'm pricing out turf and machines, and how am I going to put these HitTraxes in? Or am I going to mount them? Am I going to put them on the side? There's so many things that you have to figure out. Once you decide to take that plunge, and whether your building is 3,000 square feet, mine was 5,000 at first, whether it's 11,000 where you got now, it's scary. And I think people don't really realize how much you have to care about the kids to invest what you have to invest to give them a quality product. I mean, just the turf that I had priced out initially for the facility that I'm about to move into was $60,000. Just the turf. I think people don't realize it.
No.
They're like, oh yeah, that's just turf. Well, go price out some good turf that'll actually last 5 years, and then come back to me and say that's just turf.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know because you've done it. And and I think that when you look at Twitter, you look at Instagram, you look at Facebook, right? Everybody's daddy played baseball, and everybody's daddy has an opinion about every little thing they see. Whether it's you teach hitting wrong, you teach pitching wrong, you're too loud, I'm too mean, whatever, right? Everybody's got an opinion. You should bunt every time, or you should hit home runs, like whatever. I really like to find people like you who have put the money up to find a facility, to upfit a facility, to get a HitTrax, to push themselves to reinvest in their business and reinvest in themselves, instead of just somebody who does a few lessons on the side and maybe does something else during the day. It's a totally different level of commitment. And I commend you and I respect you. And I'm so glad that we got to talk and that I got to say I was sorry for what I said on Twitter. I don't even know if you knew I said that.
No, I didn't.
But and you might not have come on if you did. But the bottom line is this: I was really, really wrong. And I am very excited to have met you. And I can't wait to follow this series going forward. And I hope you check out some of my stuff. You've never heard of me before. That's totally fine. BaseballRebellion.com. I hope you check it out. And I'd love to link back up here in a little while after the travel ball season and find out how your team did. Check back in on Tyler and see if he's still 7'4" at 10 years old, or however big he is, and see how many 100 million foot home runs he hit. But, congratulations on winning the Super NIT. In the future, I hope people represent you in a better way than the Baseball Bros did. And the next time you drop an episode, please tag me, at Baseball Rebellion. I will happily retweet it. I want more people to know that there's people like you and people like me out there that actually care about kids, that are trying to make them better, that coach with love and passion and caring, because that's just as important as cleaning the dugout after you leave. Because I'll bet you guys clean your dugouts after you leave, and you probably don't take a bunch of pictures of it, because you're supposed to clean up after you leave a dugout. Like you don't get any freaking points from me for that. If I got to hear another thing on Twitter or Instagram about returning your shopping cart or cleaning a dugout, man, I'm gonna lose it. So,
dude, my guys know after a baseball game, nothing goes in your bag until bottles and stuff is cleaned up. Like the other day we played the 8 o'clock game, and my guys knew, like, hey, look, we played the first game, so the dugout was clean. So when we leave, it better be clean. And it's little stuff like that people don't understand, that makes guys respect the game. Like, when they go to high school, that's going to carry over to after a high school game. I bet you guys who play on my team are going to pick up bottles. You know what I'm
You're right. They will, but they're doing that. They're not doing it because you're taking a picture of it on social media. They're doing it because they're good people, because they're
Right.
around good people. Like if you see trash, pick it up. Who just walks by trash? Like, what are you doing? Like, I
Yeah,
don't, that stuff doesn't make any sense to me,
right.
So
Right.
I don't think you get any points. Like, you don't get any points for telling the truth. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't get any points for being honest. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't get any points for returning your shopping cart. You're just a moron if you don't. And that's just the way I look at life. And I hope that's the way my boys look at life, my two young sons. And I hope the way that's how my athletes that we train at Baseball Rebellion look at life, because I know that's how they look at it at Barnes Baseball Academy. So thanks again for joining us. Is there anything else you want to leave us with before I let you go?
Nah, man, we pretty much, covered everything, man. And
Well,
I do want to say thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate people like you, who see the good, in what we're trying to do.
I love it.
Who understand, like, I'm not here to be the center of attention. I'm here for these kids. I want these kids to be put on a pedestal. I don't care. I've had my days. You know what I'm saying? My
Sure.
job now is to prepare these guys to get into high school and the D1 level.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't, again, I'm 39, you're 28, right? So,
Right.
and you started in 2019. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Yeah.
So, I'm not giving you advice here. I just have been doing this, 15 years, and I've sat in the room with players, and I've had relationship with coaches that were good enough to where they allowed me to tell the player and the parent about a scholarship offer, right?
Right.
And I saw that dad break down and cry and say, I didn't know how I was going to get to send my child to college without this. Thank you. And I've seen that, and I've seen it over and over and over, and, people don't really realize the opportunity that baseball and softball and sports of all kinds can bring to young men and young women as they go forward, especially opening doors to schools they might not be able to get into otherwise, or pay for otherwise. And I just think that that's such an underrated part of what we do. Now, not everybody that trains with you or me is going to get a scholarship, and we don't try to pretend like they will. But the ones that do, the ones that pay the cost to be the boss, that get that return on the investment because they've invested the blood, sweat, and tears, and their parents have invested the money and time. It's just so rewarding to see those players, pan out, get somewhere where they can feel happy and productive, whether it's D1, NAIA, JUCO, D2, whatever.
Yeah.
But I know that that's been super rewarding for me over the 15 years I've been doing this. And as I reinvest in my business again, and as you have reinvested to go from your space to your new space, I hope I hope it gives more people opportunities in both of our business to live out their dreams and continue their athletic careers.
For sure.
So thanks again for being on. I'm going to end this, and I'm going to catch you on the flip side, man. Thank God I Pod is every Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern. And again, Devin, I appreciate you jumping on. You're welcome anytime. And I cannot wait to have you on again to find out more about Barnes Baseball Academy and your team going forward.
For sure, man. And like I say, I appreciate you having me again, man.
Anytime. We'll talk soon. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.